Hi guys, it's Justine, but you can call me Blondie, and for today's video I'm going to do the 10 baby names I love but won't be using. I did this video about 2 years ago, shortly after my daughter was born, and so I thought I would do it again with completely new names. Some of the names on the list 2 years ago we did consider using this time around, but ultimately we did not use any of the names on that list. And we have a whole list of new names that we considered, so I thought I would share them with you guys. If you're new, I have a 6-year-old son, a 2-year-old daughter, and I am pregnant with baby number 3. It's another little girl, and we have her name already picked out. My husband and I finally decided on a name this past week, and I'm not going to share it yet, but I am going to share 10 boy names and 10 girl names that we did consider. So I think I'm going to start with girl names this time around, since we are having a little girl. So the very first name that we almost decided to name this baby, we were very, very close to naming her this, is Charlotte. I love the name Charlotte. I think it's such a pretty name. It reminds me of the character from Princess and the Frog, and they call her Lottie in that movie, and I think that's such a pretty nickname too, Lottie. And so we considered the name Charlotte. For a while, we really thought that this baby's name was going to be Charlotte, but then we found out that Charlotte is actually in the top 10 most popular baby girl names this year, and I don't want my kids to go to school and have 10 other kids in their class with the same name as them. So we decided to not go with Charlotte for that reason. I don't want my kids to have names that are super common and super popular, but I also don't want them to have names that are super unique either. I want a nice middle ground, a name that is well known but not super popular, if that makes sense. So we decided not to go with Charlotte for that reason. Another name, this is actually one that my husband loved, and I think it's a pretty name, but it is Astrid, and my husband likes it because he is really into Norse mythology and just Norwegian history and stuff in general, and Astrid is a Norwegian name, but I have a cousin named Astrid, so we definitely wouldn't be using that name even though he loved it, because I want this baby to have her own name, not share a name with a family member. Another name that we considered is Genevieve, which I think is again something really, really pretty. But another rule that I have with names is I don't want anyone in my family sharing the same initials. So I want all my kids to have a different, I want their name to start with a different first letter. I know a lot of families like to do what the Duggars do, and all their kids start with a J or with the same letter. I want all my kids to have different letters, and my husband's name is Garrett, so we would be repeating the letter G, and I didn't want to do that, so we did not go with Genevieve. The next name on our list was Gwendolyn, and I think this is such a pretty name, but again, it starts with the letter G. I didn't want to do that. And then also my little sister's name is Quinn, and if we named this baby Gwendolyn, her nickname would probably be Gwen, and Gwen and Quinn just sound too similar for my liking, so we decided not to go with Gwendolyn either. And then the last name on this list is Lilith. I've been watching a lot of Sabrina, the Netflix series Sabrina, and in the series, I don't want to spoil too much of it, but in the series, Lilith is a demon, and she's just a really cool character. So I loved the name Lilith for that reason. But Lilith is also biblical, and my husband and I are not religious, and so he did not want to name our kids something that's from the Bible, just because we are not religious people, and so it wouldn't really make sense to. So we decided not to go with that name. And then moving on to 5 boy names. Boy names are actually a lot easier for us to come up with. So the very first name on this list is what we would have named this baby if she were a boy, and that is Hudson. I love the name Hudson. It reminds me, if you guys ever watched Gargoyles as kids, there was a character in Gargoyles named Hudson, and I saw the name Hudson on a baby name list, and I was it reminded me of Gargoyles, and I immediately loved it. My husband really liked it. And I had never heard or seen of a Hudson ever. And then, over the past couple months, ever since I saw that name, I've been slowly, mostly online and like on YouTube, I've been finding people who have a child named Hudson, and I also have been like just checking name lists like nonstop, and Hudson keeps coming up on popular baby name lists. It's not like in the top 20 yet, but I feel like every list I look at, it's slowly creeping closer and closer to like the most popular names. So I still really love this name for like a future boy if we ever have another boy. But if it ever ends up in like the top 20 names, we probably won't use it because again, I really don't want to have like my kid have like a bunch of other kids in their class with the exact same name. So we will see if we'll use this name in the future. Another name that I really liked was Woodrow. Woodrow is not very common anymore. It's such a like classic name, but I've only ever met one Woodrow in my life, and I just feel like it's a very manly name, and I really liked it. My husband was kind of on the fence about it, but it's one that I definitely considered if this baby were a boy. Another name that I really love is the name Harrison, like Harrison Ford, but I feel like I can't imagine holding a baby and calling him Harrison. We'd probably call him Harry, and I hate the name Harry. It reminds me of Harry Potter. I don't like it at all. And even Harry is like, I don't want to call my kid Harry, like hair all over his body. I don't know. I just don't. I don't love the nickname Harry, but I love the name Harrison. But we probably won't ever use that because I just can't imagine calling a little baby Harrison, you know? So next name is Owen, and actually this is a name my son came up with because his favorite movie is Jurassic World, and if you've seen Jurassic World, Owen is the name of Chris Pratt's character, who's like one of the main characters. And at first I was like, I don't want to name our kid after my son's favorite movie, but the name Owen is like such a nice name, and again, it's one of those names that's like, it's well known, like everyone knows the name Owen, but it's not super popular. You don't know a lot of Owens. I don't think I've ever personally met an Owen. I know of a couple Owens, and there's obviously Owens in TV shows and in Jurassic World, but I've never personally met an Owen in my life, and so I really liked it for that reason. And then these kind of go together. If you guys don't already know, my kids' names are Sawyer and Madeline, and I really loved the names Hunter and Carter for a baby boy, but my oldest is already named Sawyer, and I feel like Hunter, Carter, Sawyer, like they just sound too similar, so I would never name another kid with a name that ends in er. I already call my two kids whose their names are not similar sounding at all, and they're different genders, Sawyer and Madeline, boy and girl. I even get their names mixed up sometimes. So if I were to name another kid Carter or Hunter or something with an I would constantly be like mixing up my kids' names when I'm trying to call them. So we wouldn't be using any of those names, even though I really do like those names, especially the name Carter. I think it's such a sweet name. It's something that like perfectly transfers from like little baby to like teenager to man, and that's really important to me with baby names, and I really like that about it. But again, I wouldn't use it for the reason I just explained. So that is it for the 10 baby names I love but won't be using. I've been watching these videos like non-stop since I found out I was pregnant, just trying to like see if anyone would say a name that I liked, that I used, and I watched so many videos like this, and then the name that we chose for baby girl number 2 ended up not being from any of the lists that I watched. So yeah, that is it for my 10 names I love but won't be using. I will link the video I did a couple years ago. The names in that video, some of them my husband and I did consider this time around, but we ultimately didn't choose any of those names either. But I will still link it down below just in case you're interested. I still love, I think, all of the names in that video. I still love them, but we didn't use them again. And stick around and subscribe, and I don't know how I'm gonna announce baby girl's name. I don't know if I'm just gonna like mention it in passing or wait till she's born or do a whole like dedicated video. I just don't know, but stick around and subscribe and you will find out what baby girl's, oh my gosh, I can't talk today. You will find out what baby girl number two's name is sometime soon. And yeah, that is it for this video. I will see you next time. Bye guys.